Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Amir Karam, board certified facial plastic surgeon, founder and creator of Karam MD Skin. I specialize in facial rejuvenation, which basically means I help people look as young as they feel. And on today's episode of Skin School, we're gonna talk about the biggest mistakes people make with cleansing, washing their face. Guys, believe me, this is an interesting thing to me because honestly, I was naive. Honestly, I had no idea how important, number one, and how complicated the topic of cleansing and washing your skin properly actually is. And when I say complicated, I don't mean that it's like multi-step complicated, it's just that there's more to it than probably you realize. So you're gonna wanna listen to this entire section, and I'm gonna go through some of the best practices, the rationale behind it, and hopefully at the end of it, you'll be in good shape to basically wash your face the right way, which by the way, is probably the most important first step to any type of skincare routine and any type of skincare in general. You don't start, with a good, beautiful, properly cleansed skin palette. Everything else that goes on top of it isn't gonna make it through your skin. So let's kind of discuss this in a moment here, and it'll all make a lot more sense. So my journey with this is the story behind it. So as you all know, I developed Karam MD Skin, and Karam MD Skin's hero product is called the trifecta. The trifecta is 3 steps. One's a cleanser called rinse, the other is vitamin C called quench, and then there's illuminate. So the 2 steps, 2 and 3, are packed with active ingredients that are stimulating collagen, decreasing pigmentation, decreasing fine lines and wrinkles, hydrating the skin, balancing the oil, decreasing pores. I mean, like everything you could possibly need are on those 3 steps. But here's the thing. Step 1, which is rinse, the cleanser, originally wasn't like a thought for me. Like I just thought skincare was all about the active ingredients, like what you put on your skin, at whatever point. I didn't even think about cleansing. And then I realized as I did more and more research and got deeper and deeper and deeper into what it means to have a proper skincare routine, I realized that the cleansing step sets up everything to follow. So if you don't get that step right, everything else is gonna be far less effective, far less efficient. So this is what it comes down to. A big mistake that people make when they cleanse, and I made this mistake for years, decades, is you clean your skin with a foaming cleanser, right? How many of you love the look and feel of like a big lathery, soapy, bubbly cleansing experience when it comes to your face? I think the majority of people feel that way. They like it. It like bubbles and suds and all this kind of stuff, and you're like, oh, this is really cleaning me well. Biggest mistake right there. Why? This is something, again, I learned. The act of using a foaming mechanism for your cleansing creates abrasive conditions to your skin, microabrasions that basically create a situation where the surface of the skin is potentially, in very minor ways, there's a little bit of trauma, a little bit of damage from this kind of abrasive action of the foaming, which then leads to dryness of the skin. And honestly, it's interesting because if you think about it, you're like, well, soap creates suds, right? I mean, you use Dove soap, whatever. But when it comes to the face, that's not the ideal situation, because what you want to do with the face, remember, oil balance is an important aspect. You've got, people who are oily, they produce more oil. So if you dry out their skin, they're gonna produce more oil. If you got somebody who's dry, then you wash with something that's gonna dry you, you get more dry. So it's like, the whole balance, the whole sort of starting point gets wonky when you're using a foaming cleanser. So microabrasions, abrasive action of the foaming is something you want to avoid. It takes some getting used to. When you use a non-foaming cleanser, at first you're like, wow, am I really even washing my face? Is it even doing anything? And that was my first impression when I developed Rinse, which is our non-foaming light cleanser. I put it on, it was like, it's a gel. I mean, it's not sudsy or foamy. And I'm like, is it doing anything? In fact, it's doing as much or more, but it's doing it in a much more gentle way. So number 1, avoid foaming cleansers. Go for the gel-like gentle cleansers like the rinse. And this is not meant to be a plug, but just something I'm proud about. This year, actually, and Rinse was awarded top daily cleanser in that category, which I thought was a wonderful tribute, but also, I'm not surprised. It really is a solid. Now, I'll tell you a little bit more about Rinse later. There's a few other components to it, but let's just talk about the active cleansing. So start with a non-foaming cleanser. Second, don't use hot water on your face. Not good. Use lukewarm water. Hot water is rough on the skin. It's not great for the skin. Anything that is going to change the balance of oil, the abrasiveness, or any kind of trauma is not good for your skin, because inflammation, crazy that I'm even talking about this type of stuff, because really it was such a journey getting to the point where I even understood this, but inflammation causes swelling on the surface of the skin. Inflammatory changes not only, of course, create a redness to the skin, etc., but anything you put on top of your skin after that is not going to be as effective, because when the surface of the tissue is inflamed and swollen, the pores and the channels and everything else that's going to allow these products to migrate from the surface of the skin down into the middle of the skin where all the action is, all the cells are, and all the things that you want with your actives to be down in there, aren't going to make it as effectively, because the surface is inflamed. So doing things that are going to be gentle and light to the skin, like not putting on hot water, really scalding hot water, using lukewarm water when you clean, is important. After the cleansing aspect is also important. Again, how many times do you take a towel and you're just scraping it? Maybe you guys don't do this. Maybe this is just a me thing, and maybe it's a guy thing, I don't know. But sometimes you're a little rough with the towel, it's like this type of thing. That type of motion is not great. You want to basically take the towel, dab it, gentle. You don't want to scrape away any of the oils. You don't want to, again, create more abrasive kind of action to the skin. So just gentle dabbing of the skin with the towel, soak up the water, then let the rest sort of air dry is very important, very, very important. So between using a non-foaming cleanser, washing with lukewarm water, using a gentle towel, these are all best practices in the time of cleansing. Then it comes down to the timing of cleansing. How often should you cleanse? Really, the ideal is you do it twice a day. The reason why it's important to do twice a day is your skin accumulates all sorts of debris, dust, makeup, sunscreen, all that kind of stuff. That stuff needs to come off before you go to bed. How can you go to bed with all that stuff on your skin in the first place? Talk about an inflammatory environment, talk about toxins and pollutants and all this other stuff that is going to make their way through the skin, etc. Maybe you're sleeping for 8, 9 hours, it's bedtime. So you want to get all that stuff off your face and start with a fresh palette. So in the case of the trifecta in most skincare routines, you're also getting ready to put on your skincare, right? So you got to clean the skin, then put on your skincare, and you can't put skincare on a face that hasn't been washed. There's no value there. Everything is especially if you're putting sunscreen, which you should be, if you're even caring about your skin even in the slightest bit, the sunscreen aspect during the day is an important part no matter what you do. Got to wash that stuff off before you put anything else on, obviously, right? So that's nighttime. The morning you wake up, again, in the case of trifecta, it's a twice a day routine, AM and PM. So again, you want to take off everything that's on the skin in terms of overnight oils. It sets the balance of the skin, etc. And then you put on your quench and your illuminate, or in the case of other skincare routines, you put on whatever, and then you put on your sunscreen and off you go. So AM and PM is extremely important. Even if you're not doing any type of skincare routine, just the physical act of removing dirt and debris, oil, balance, all that stuff comes down to washing twice a day. Very important, and then using the techniques that we just talked about. Now, a couple of things. So basically, this is the funny part of the whole thing, is I was kind of simple-minded, naive when I first got involved in the development of all this, but I just thought, just something that just takes away dirt is a cleanser. But it can be much more sophisticated than that, and that's what Rinse is basically. It's in addition to the fact that it can clean the skin, there's antioxidants, there's anti-inflammatories, there's aloe, there's things that are gonna calm and soothe the skin so that literally the skin is in this beautiful, prepared state for everything that's going to follow after that. So there's a lot more than just simple cleansing. And I think those are just key things to put in mind, because if you're trying to get the most out of your routine, don't skimp on the first step and don't neglect the importance of that first step in the cleansing steps. Folks, that's all I've got. I'm sure there's more elaborate stuff that we can talk about in this, but I want to keep it simple. I want you to kind of focus on the key aspects of what you need to do to get the most out of your cleansing and your skincare routine. So I hope that helped. I hope that brought some interesting instructions and point to minds that you can begin implementing right away. And as always, empowerment is the way towards making good decisions, and my job here and my passion is to help educate and empower through our skin school, help you get that beautiful skin that you're always naturally desiring to look as young as you feel. And if you haven't already, hit subscribe to watch more of these videos, peruse through our library as well. If you enjoy this video, hit like, send it to some friends and family through the share as well. And if you have any questions or comments, love to read about it, love to answer anything I can, drop them in the comments below. Sign up for our Karam MD Journal newsletter, which basically is more content like this, different topics that gets delivered to you via email. So you can get a lot of good knowledge and good information through our newsletter that way. All right, everyone, I hope you enjoyed. Until next time, Dr. Amir Karam.